Hey, what's up guys? Joe Elements here once again, and today we are finally breaking down my Canon R3 rig for narrative feature film work. There is a lot going on around here, but every single one of them is 100% necessary to have to be able to shoot narrative work. When it comes to music videos and run and gun, this is not the setup for you. So this is strictly for those who are using the R3 for narrative work. So welcome back. Just before we carry on, if you're new to this channel, do consider subscribing and also make sure you leave a comment below. Any question that you want to ask about this setup, let me know and I'll make sure that I respond to your questions. I've recently released a video about Smallrig finally releasing the R3 cage. If you haven't seen that video, the link is right up here. And I talk about the pros and the cons of that rig. However, that rig is crucial, or that cage is crucial to be able to have a fixed rig just like this, because the camera on its own, it does very well for run and gun. It does very well for music videos where you don't need audio, where you don't need, sometimes you don't need a viewfinder, because the R3 LCD and viewfinder are second to none. And also the autofocus is really good. But to do narrative work, we know that you need long power, you also need lighting, you need matte box, you need bigger EVF or LCD screen to be able to monitor critical focus and so on and so forth. And that's when we actually put together a rig like this. So without further ado, I am going to tear it down and explain to you how and why I use these bits. So first of all, we will start straight with that smallest one right here. And this is ML1 by Moman. It's a small portable, literally a pocket size RGB light. And this is normally used for product photography and so on and so forth. But it's really good to have one like this on top of your camera in case you need a fill light. And I'm not saying that that being the main source of light, but usually you have a very faint, just natural looking, and when you have your key light, you use that as a fill light to fill it in. So what I have done here, I have put 15mm rod on there with a little clamp, and that goes on here to be able to mount it on. So this rig actually consists of several manufacturers and several products to be able to build it up like this, because these were things that I have lying around, and I'm pretty sure that many of you will have these things lying around as well. So let's just carry on. So this is the ML1 by Moman. And then also just to remind you that I'll leave every single product that's on this cage in the description below. So just to get the cabling out of the way, this is the Atomos Ninja V, and I use that as my secondary, or rather the camera assistance monitor. So if someone else is pulling focus, they are able to see it right here on the Ninja V. And then also, because it's a built-in recorder, I'm able, there's a long twist, but I'm able to record 422 on the Ninja V as redundancy in case I need a quick run through or a quick preview for the client and so on and so forth. Now, that doesn't mean that the Canon R3 is not capable. The Canon R3 shoots 6K internally raw. So by all means, if your computer can handle it, that is the best way to go. I have been shooting RAW for as long as I can remember, and currently I'm using the new M1 Mac Mini, and it renders and plays back the Canon RAW without any hesitation. So all of my shots are normally in RAW, my music video, my narrative films, sometimes even when I'm using it to record myself. And I know it's an overkill, but why not if my machine is able to handle it? So that's what I go. And then at the back here, I've got the Andycine Caddy, obviously. I have my own hard drive in there. That's a 1 terabyte in there. Again, just in case I need to do a redundant recording. So that is the Ninja V monitor. And that is held together by a magic arm. And that magic arm is by Vocus. So this has 15mm rod and then the magic arm attached to it. This way I don't have to physically mount it onto the camera cage, but just slide it on my 15mm rod and we go. So it's either I put the LCD monitor on here or I put the EVF on here. But I figured the EVF, this is the best angle because I mostly do handheld or also on a tripod base, and this is the best angle for me to be able to look right into the camera without straining my back. So this is the Vocus, and then right at the front we have my favorite matte box of all time, and that is the Twozoh Mirage. As we all aware by now, it has a built-in variable ND filter, and I keep saying this is one of the best ND filters that I have used in a very long time. And you will notice that it's slightly different. This is because I have purchased the add-on filter slot. So this little piece right here in the middle is an additional to the main matte box, and that allows me to actually have 2 filter trays and instead of just one. So the second one, I can put in my Promised filter or my Vaxis filter that I use. So this is very, very crucial in my kit, whether I'm shooting music video or whether I'm shooting narrative or running gun. I always have this with me. This is because it makes it easier to switch lenses and then just slap this matte box on instead of using filter thread lenses and variable filter thread lenses. So this is my Twozoh Mirage matte box. And then the main feed source that I use is an HDMI. Obviously the R3 is a micro HDMI, which is a bummer, but it is what it is. So I have gotten a right angle micro HDMI to a standard HDMI, and this is gold plated. This shoots up to 8K. Now the right angle, there are 2 different ones. One that actually points upwards, which you don't want because your monitor will be down here, and then you see that bit here, the neck of the HDMI cable starts flexing. So instead I have the right angle that the angle actually faces down, so it's easier and it's harder to flex. And this particular one is by Twozoh, I believe, and it's up to 4K, sorry, not 8K, 4K resolution. It's obviously coiled, as you can see, so it's a lot more flexible and durable. Also, the link will be in the description. And then what would have happened is that will go straight into the Ninja V, and then I have a standard HDMI to HDMI from the Ninja V into my Zacuto EVF. And then from the Zacuto EVF, I use a SDI to my Moman Matrix 600S transmitter. And the reason why I have a transmitter on here is because I'm able to transmit the feed that I'm seeing onto a director's monitor or a client's monitor. Sometimes you've got clients that are very curious in seeing how the process is done and what's happening or how the image looks like. And so it's easier to get them away as far as possible from you. And using the Moman 600S, the signal to quality ratio, it's precise and pristine. So the next thing here is my Zacuto Gratico X, and there are the Gratico HD, and the difference between the HD and the X is literally identical. It's just it doesn't come with the waveform and the built-in bells and whistles, which I don't need because I have this right here that will give me all of that. So I cut corner and picked up the Gratico X, which it's brilliant. The image quality out of this is literally looking at this monitor, but a smaller version. Because it's OLED, the quality is really, really good. Also, it gives you zoom in, and also you're able to loop the feed from the LCD into the Gratico X and then into the transmitter. So that makes a difference. Now, how I power my Gratico X is via the V-mount. The only reason why I power that via the V-mount is because the usual Canon batteries don't last long. I believe maximum an hour and it will die. So that is the only reason why I use a V-mount at the back here, because we know that the Canon R3 built-in battery, it's a beast. It lasts nothing less than 3 hours straight. So if I need longer, then I'll just buy an extra spare battery and that'll give me 6 hours. That's the entire day. Now it lasts longer if I don't leave the camera running when not in use. And the way I normally film is once I'm not filming, once we're taking a break, or I know that there is a direction that's going to go on and it's going to take long, I just switch off the camera. And the R3 switches off and on very, very quickly. So it's no brainer to preserve your duration of the battery life by switching off and switching on when needed. Now, how I mount my Gratico X onto the body of the camera is with a NATO slide clamp. Again, I'll leave the link in the description below. With a NATO slide clamp, that's what I have at my disposal, because normally you would have a proper EVF mount and so on to be able to rotate and tilt and, you know, move it to flexible position and so on and so forth. But this is what I have with me in my kit, and so it works. So with a NATO clamp and a small NATO rail attached to the Smallrig cage on the side, and that allows me to easily slide it on, and I can move it up or down, with the exception of tilting. So in regards to tilting, I have placed it in the comfortable position that I would normally shoot and fastened the bolt. So the only thing I can do is move it up and down, which is more flexible for me. So that is my coil D-tap that goes directly into my V-mount battery, and this is the Gratico X. And another thing that you realize is that I have the LCD out of the camera. This is because in case I need to manually focus, I just do a touch, because we know that the Canon camera, the R3 in precise autofocus is very, very good, and it snaps on to the eye straight away. But you know, sometimes when you have more than 2-3 people in the scene, then it's not 100% sure who it wants to focus on, and so I'm able to do the touch handling. And then also with that, it will allow me to change settings if I need to and I don't want to use the physical dials. So my screen is usually out. So going to the back here, we have a cheese plate. Again, this is huge. It's what I have at my disposal that I built the rig for the gig that is coming up. And so it's a cheese plate that I have a small portable V-mount adapter attached to, and that allows me to put this Moman Power 99 battery on here and fasten it onto the rails. I would recommend spending a little bit of money and getting this V-mount adapter. Actually comes with a 15mm rod clamp attached to it, and I believe that it's about £35 or £40, and that becomes very, very small. That will just sit here and give you a lot of clearance here, and then you have this Power 99 small and nimble at the back. In regards to this Power 99, someone asked me how long it lasts. Again, I can shoot entire day powering my EVF, the Gratico X, without it dying. And I believe I'm able to have at least 2, if not 3 bars remaining on this battery. The reason for this is because this is the battery that I was using for my Red Komodo, and we know how the Red Komodo is power hungry, and this 99 watt hour battery would last me usually a 3-hour film straight. And again, that is with the interval of switching off the camera and turning it back on, which is something that I am accustomed to and I'm not really bothered at all by. So this battery is highly recommended. That extra 1 watt actually makes a big difference compared to any other 98 watt hour battery. And then also it's very light and portable. You get one D-tap on the left and another D-tap on the right, which is really good because you do not have to struggle to bring a cable from one side all the way to the other, but you can power your D-tap cables from both sides. And then on the very top, you also have a USB, a standard 2 input or output USB for anything that you need to power via USB. So I highly recommend the Moman Power 99. Now, moving on to the right side right here, if I can find my tools. So this is something that I keep with me as well. It has all the Allen keys and a flat Phillips screwdriver as well. So I'm able to use it to undo bolts and stuff on the camera, and it's always living in my bag. Now, moving on to right here, we have the transmitter, and this is the Moman Matrix 600S, and this is attached with a tilter cold shoe mount adapter. This is what I used to use, or it came also with my Red Komodo rig and or cage, and it's been sitting around. So this is what I use to attach that to my tilter cage. And this is a transmitter that gives you 600 meters, and also it is an in and out and loop through HDMI and SDI transmitter. And the best part is it doesn't have any antenna whatsoever, so it doesn't get in the way. It's nicely and portably made, and it's partly aluminium and just the top half that comes in plastic. I've also done a full review on this. If you're not familiar with it, also have a look at the link on the top right here. And this doesn't just end there as a wireless transmitter, but it also opens the capability of being able to transmit directly to a smart device, your smartphone or tablet. And then to make it even better, they have a teleprompter by Moman that actually pairs very well with this device and allows you to screen your scripting on the teleprompter whilst you're presenting your message to your audience. So this is very, very good wireless transmitter that I also highly recommend. And on right there, I have, again, these are all, I can't emphasize, these are all parts that I already have in my arsenal, and this came with my Red Komodo cage. Having said that, you can also buy it separately. It's quite a bit costly because it's very rugged, very sleek, and very comfortable to hold. This is the side handle by Tilter. and in the UK I picked this up from Cinegear Pro. So if you want to check it out, it is again very costly for this. This little handle here is almost £100. It's between 70 and £90 depending on promotion. So I have two of this, and I have placed an order for a third one because I want to keep having this on here because it makes it easy when I'm doing handheld. So I can easily go like this, and then I have my EVF here, and I'll just look down into the camera whilst the camera does all the focusing. It's a lot more comfortable this way than holding the camera this way, and your hands can easily touch something that you shouldn't touch. So I will highly recommend one of these tilter handles if money is not a problem when you're building your cage. And again, right there is an old NATO rail that I have that I'm able to attach to the cage and attach the tilter handle to. Now, when it comes to sound, depending on what you're filming, I use the Moman C1X wireless transmitter and receiver kit. So this comes with 2 transmitters and 1 receiver. So the receiver simply sits right here at the back. It doesn't obstruct me in any ways. I'm able to sit it right here and still have free movement with the top handle. Or if I want, there is another cold shoe mount, as I said, right here on the left, and I can easily slide it on that side as well. But I prefer it right here at the back because of the LED that indicates whether there is connection or whether there is no connection. Now, this transmitter has a built-in headphone out, so you can actually monitor the sound before it gets into your camera, or if your camera allows you to have a headphone out, then you can monitor the sound directly from there. This kit, again, is very simple. It comes out of the case. Once you turn it on, then it automatically sings. Again, I have done a full review on this as well that you might want to give it a shot. It's very portable, small, and nimble, and it charges via USB-C. Now, so this looks a lot more like the camera that it should look like. I know many people were asking, is there actually a camera behind all of this? And yes, it is the Canon R3 behind here. Now on the top, again, this is what I have in my arsenal. I have the Zacuto top handle, which allows me to mount various things on here, and I love this handle. I purchased it for my red Komodo but never got around to using it, and it's become handy in this case. And it came with the long rail. As you can see, I had to make a little modification right there, and it's just temporary because the rig, the cage top plate, is a 3/8 thread to be able to have dead center markings. That's a 3/8, and then you have 6 other 1/4 thread that goes diagonally. So I wanted it to be right dead center. This way, wherever the weight is, whether the weight is at the back or the weight is at the front, I can move the handle back or forth instead of having like this, because if I have it facing this way, then all the weights will be at the back of the camera because the handle is now all the way to the front. So I had to modify that quickly, make the hole or the thread a bit bigger so that I can put a 3/8 screw in there to be able to mount it on there. But again, the easiest way is to get a 3/8 to 1/4 converter and thread it in here then, because naturally this is a 1/4 screw holder. So that is my top handle. And that is the bulk of the setup. But again, I always come back to this tilter base plate. I don't know how many times I'm going to say this, and I'm sure you've seen this base plate in several of my videos, is because this base plate is so versatile and could be used with any camera setup. So I have both the Arri style dovetail. I have a long one and a short one whenever needed, but I always prefer using the longer one because it allows for more room when you need to move things like the magic arm back and forth. With the short one, there is very much limitation on that. So I always resort to the long one. And then also it makes it easier to sit on my 502 tripod head. Then finally, the actual base plate that comes with 15mm rod support. And then also it has Arri rosettes on the side in case you want to attach handles for shoulder mount, which makes it a lot easier. But with this base plate, it allows me to, you know, stable the camera because it's quite wide and it's very sturdy. I mean, I've had this base plate for at least about 6 years, or probably even more, and I'm able to move it from system to system and still use it. So one final thing is my go-to lens is the Sigma Art 35mm prime. And we know how sharp this lens is and can be. My only issue is the fact that I'm having to adapt it from EF to RF mount. And I'm hoping that Canon will start coming out with RF mount prime lenses. Something in these range, 24mm prime or 35mm prime is something that I'm looking for. But until then, this is my go-to lens for wide angle shoot. And then my other go-to lens is the 50mm 1.2 RF. And I'm telling you, I love this lens so much. Again, I'm able to put my matte box right on here when needed with the tilter Mirage adapter rings. So this lens allows me to make the subject pop out of the background, you know, bokeh the background completely, and it renders very, very beautiful images. The only thing that I've been thinking about recently is switching from the 50 to the 70-200 f2 RF. This is because I used to use that on EF systems and I loved the look on it. The compression was really, really beautiful. And I have been thinking, should I switch from this lens to the 70-200? And then another reason why I really want that lens is because I also shoot wedding photography and other photography bits. And I feel that on a wedding set, I'm missing that little extra zoom. And that's one of the reasons why I also thinking of moving to the 70-200. So that's it for me, guys. Hopefully this has given you information that you need, especially to those who owns the Canon R3 and wants to kit it up as a filmmaking rig for film production work. Stay tuned and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.